Welcome, everybody, to the Facerocker Podcast number 51. This week, we sit down with VGHS JV superstar Jumpin Jax, played by Joey Scoma. As Joey Scoma, he's not being Jumpin Jax on the podcast. Joey's also in the editing room with Matt and myself, and we're all sitting in there baking in our very hot office right now, editing VGHS Season 3 for all of you. For those of you who are listening to this podcast and haven't subscribed yet on iTunes, I highly recommend you do it. It's the best quality version of the podcast, and it'll just download when you're sleeping. There's no work involved. So head on over to iTunes, subscribe to this podcast, get new episodes as they come out in full, awesome audio fidelity, and please enjoy this week's podcast.
So we're rolling.
Welcome, everybody, to a Facerocker Hotcast. It's really warm in our office this week, these last 2 weeks. So this,
we have to turn off all the fans. Everybody here is dying of heat, and we have to turn off all the fans for the podcast.
Just so you can hear us jack our jaws for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, real quick. Hey, everybody in the office. How do you guys feel about the fact that we turned off all the fans? Nobody likes
it sounded like only two people were upset. So
That's
a good idea. It's not as big a problem as we thought it was.
Yeah, apparently
Thanks,
not.
John.
We are joined this week by VGHS co-conspirator, editor, as well as Jumpin Jax on the show, Joey Scoma.
And 5 Second Films.
And 5 Second Films superstar.
Wow.
Joey Scoma.
You got a t-shirt on T-Fury once?
Here I am on the Facerocker. I've listened to this so many times, and now I'm here sitting in Logan's place. I feel like, wow, my mic is in the wrong place.
No.
I'm already messing up.
Joey, it's totally okay for you to be absolutely blown away right now. That's exactly how we would expect you to react.
down.
I'm just going to slouch down into the mic instead of raise the mic up to my mouth. All right.
Carmen,
Look,
how about
but
you,
I've already adjusted. No. All right.
Let's see how Carmen does here.
I'll just be like, can you just aim it
Carmen,
down?
watch
like,
look at everybody else's mic. Carmen,
Oh my
look
gosh.
at everybody else's mic.
For those of you listening, Carmen has lifted the microphone above his head.
Am I on?
Oh my goodness. This is bad.
Am I on?
This is really horrible.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, thank
Let's
God.
put the
Much
thing on
better.
top
Put
of
the
the
thing
thing.
Okay, now
And we are...
it's soft.
No, you're good.
Carmen,
We're good, John.
please.
What an
Carmen.
introduction.
Good job,
Thanks
Carmen.
for having me, guys. And thank you, John.
John Carmen, everybody.
I feel right as rain at home. You know? Except it's like home in the sauna in this sweat box, so I feel like it's even better.
Well, a week ago, I think it was Friday, you were like the only person in the edit room because me and Freddie just left. And I came back and it was like 99 degrees in there.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
these are
bad.
two fans pointed at you.
Poor Joey.
You didn't want to move your arms because it was sweaty,
Yeah.
increasing. You were just typing slowly
Joey
on
had
the computer.
deadlines. Nobody told him it was okay to go seek air conditioning.
Everyone's out having fun on their film shoots, and I'm just sitting there watching Freddie attempt to slate, which is just his fist. Got it. Moving on.
Yeah, but it was a good slate, though, right?
Yeah, believe it or not, as ridiculous as they are, they actually do sync.
Yeah, see? See?
Sometimes.
I
Most
saw
of
a
the
good
time.
slate of you, Matt, where I was sitting there sweating my balls off, missing the crap out of you guys. I was like, I just need some company. I'm getting stir crazy. And then I saw a slate where it's like, whatever, we don't slate, it's action. Who cares? I'm Matt, I'll be editing this later. Clap. And I'm like, where's Matt?
Yeah.
I can't even show you that.
That sounds about right.
You're not
Did
even
you pull
there
that out for
editing
goofs?
it. Yeah, well, no.
No.
I couldn't think.
I think I specifically remember that one.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I just remember saying, I'm mad. I'm going to edit this anyways. Don't care.
Yeah,
Here.
don't care. Here it is.
And of course,
don't
Matt
need to do
wasn't
this.
there. Of course, Matt wasn't even there
No.
for
To
it.
see it. That's too bad.
That was too bad. That was one of those moments where it's like, gosh, if only, what do you call those moments? God, there's a word for it. Oh, I remember. Hang on. It's like one of those you should have been there type of stories.
Okay.
Yeah, but you weren't there.
So, what's amazing about Joey, besides that he's like one of our favorite people alive, is that you came on to VGHS like last minute.
Yeah.
Like, did Brian, is he the one who contacted you, or you're coming out for some other job?
He called me and he's like, yo, guess what? This is like word for word. Brian calling me on the phone. I'm sitting on the couch just watching like American Pickers or something. And I'm like, I just finished a whole summer of just inflating jump houses, for kids' parties. Like, I am doing the furthest thing away from making films.
Yeah.
And he calls me. He's like, Matt's gonna call you in like 2 minutes. He's gonna offer you a role in VGHS. I know you're coming down anyway. It's a small part. Just take it.
That's quite the pitch.
He's the one who recommended. He's like, "Oh, my friend." Actually, he wanted somebody else besides you at first.
Right.
Devin? It might have been Devin.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, never mind. You know what? Joey would be great." I was like, and he tried showing us one of the old films you guys did.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And they're like, "All right, sure. This guy, I'll call you." And then I called you.
Yeah. And it was like, I remember just being like, I was like, Matt's like, so we need someone to come in tomorrow, and I'm up in Santa Cruz, so no big deal. I hear you're driving down. If you could just stop by, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe, like, just like
Hard sell.
been given this like on a silver platter, and I'm already like, whatever. And then I show up. The best thing was I was put instantly into background. Holding. So I'm sitting around, and there's a lot of just like everyone's talking about video games. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And it was the rumpus room. Remember that day?
Was that the first scene?
That was my first scene.
First scene. That's right. And actually,
my
I think
gosh.
yeah, and that was one of the star moments.
That way,
I
real
think-
quick. That was the first day you got into LA. Was that scene?
Yeah. And I just never
God.
went home.
Well, I never went home.
Yeah. I crashed on Dan Hollister's couch. You know, Brian and Dan and I, we all known each other since high school.
Yeah.
So thank God they were all around here, and I just never went back. I told the Jump House company. They called me the next day.
The
and they're
Jump
like,
House company.
The Jump
We've got
House.
jump houses doing flame. Where the hell are you?
I was like,
hell.
We
Kids
got
are
floppy
crying.
houses all over Santa Cruz.
I know. I wish I had the foresight to go like, look, I'm Jumpin Jax. Just like, shove it, Jump House.
What did you tell
I love that
them?
your name
I
was
just
Jumpin'
said like,
Jax.
look, I put it. You said as soon as Halloween hit that you guys would be winding down, you wouldn't need me. And guess what? It's November. I'm gone. So
It started
there
really
it
diplomatic.
is.
You're like, I'm gone.
Mr. Jump House, I'm just holding you at your word, sir.
and the best thing is like I'm in LA and they're just like, all right. You know, like, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna go. You know, it's just.
I remember that first because there's still in the edit. It's still one of the most incredible. And I think it's because again, Jumpin Jax wasn't like wasn't a main character by any means.
Oh, no.
In fact, outside of season 1, he probably wasn't supposed to continue on as one of the main gamers because he wasn't even supposed to. But you started playing him, and I remember the very first day we still have it in the edit is when Annihilator like goes away and he turns to you. You go.
Oh yeah.
You turn back heartbroken. And I remember you asking if you could do that. I was like, sure, whatever. I don't really know you. Just do whatever you want. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, Jumpin Jax was born. And the lines we did give you were just gibberish.
Right.
They were like, no, not at all, no. And then you said...
It all happened really fast. I remember reading the draft, like the third draft, like this was a week before I got the call.
Yeah.
You know, you guys were about to start production, and I got the third draft, which was brilliant, by the way. I was like, this is going to be a really good show. Like, the characters make so much sense, and everyone has a goal. And I specifically remember the moment I was like, I wasn't sure about Brian D until he put the sunglasses over the mashed potatoes. You know, trying to be the cool guy. That's when I was like, all right. I'm down with this guy. You know, he's someone. And then so I didn't really think much of Jumpin Jax. I remember he was just there. If you lift him out of the show, like the show will continue fine.
But so many good
contributes
jokes.
nothing.
Well, we never really understood who he was, and then there's one. It was just a late night where we were trying to come up with a line for him, and I just wrote no, not at all, no. And we just thought that was so funny because it was so dumb.
Yeah.
And like I didn't really know you at first. I wasn't sure like how hard you were playing it, but then you just started just saying the weirdest shit for every single take.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
Unintentional. A lot of nervousness going on. But it's carried over every season. I don't know what it is, but whenever you say action, I remember everything except I remember where to stand and like where to look. I just forget what I'm supposed to say and do.
We have to do a supercut. We have to do a supercut of all your takes. There's some of the strangest.
Well, what's
and
incredible
funniest.
is because there's no other person that I've ever come across in my entire life whose the thought process is so apparent on your face. Like you can literally watch your character formulate in the moment the thoughts, which is incredible.
The wheels turn and again it just action and then everything leaves. and then I have to build it back up.
Well,
yeah.
I remember the first time I got a riff with you was when we were doing that letter of the alphabet joke.
Oh, right.
With Brian D.
Oh,
And
I had
originally-
so many versions
there's
of that
so,
joke.
Do you remember any? I was remembering there's like Brian D. Well, what was the script
I
was
had
like
a
Brian
list.
D.
I still might have the list on my phone from season 1.
At CP2.
My favorite one, which is like, I've learned since I should just try and do these things and
Yeah.
then see what you guys do afterwards. But my favorite one was Brian D, more like Brian V, Gina. Oh! and it just, and then you're like, no. Because we were still walking the line with like, what could we, like.
Appropriate.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
also
the-
because
like-
Brian D, more like Brian Z, the last letter out of the
Yeah.
alphabet was by far the most brilliant because Brian Z doesn't seem like an insult at all, and you had this really long pause,
Yeah.
and then you're like, as if being the last letter of the alphabet
Yeah.
is like an insult, but it's also the guy next to you, the extra actually like celebrated with you,
Right.
and you do like kind of high fives. It was great, but you had some other ones like Brian D, as in don't anymore
Yeah.
aren't as good as the law, like you just rambling.
Yeah. Those were, it's a fun.
If so real
character.
quick, not to change the subject slightly, but if we do, and I think we should do an expansion for the VGHS board game for Jumpin Jax.
Oh, yeah, 'cause we weren't
all
talking
the
about-
words should just be gibberish on the cards. Like it should just be clearly like misspelled and just like poorly written on the cards themselves.
Right.
Which is actually, have you seen this yet?
We have it here.
Yeah,
a brilliant
Matt,
game.
hold it up. Hold
Yeah,
it
we
up.
want to talk about kind of. I wish it would be more fitting if you were in the game, Joey.
Oh, I don't think
But we
so
can't-
because
but
I
you're
wouldn't
not.
contribute to the game. I would be like the guy who would just remove or just like just like knock all the pieces off the board and be like start over.
So we just got this in from our friends over at Plaid Hat Games. The final, what would this be called? This is the production.
I already sleeved
Oh,
this
gosh.
with magic sleeves and everything.
This is the
no, this is the
production
retail-
final.
this is the retail.
Yeah.
The
Version.
artwork is brilliant.
Retail version of it.
Yeah.
You can play all the different characters. For nerdy gamers like myself, the most exciting part is custom dice, which is rad. But I think we're gonna play it if it stays too hot. We should just jam and play it.
I am sweating.
Didn't we start yesterday? But then we stopped because we went to go golf
Yeah.
instead. So really fun game, not as fun as golf, I guess. That's how
it should be pitched.
yeah,
Really fun game, not as
That's the
fun as golf.
We've been talking
Yeah,
about
I was thinking about we stitched it for golf. But that's because you had to go and we wanted to go golfing. No, this game that's really sad. No, this game's actually a blast. Plaid Hat Games is freaking awesome.
What's the copy on the box? I know Will Campos wrote that and he was
Well,
really
super
proud
excited.
of it.
It's welcome to an alternate reality where pro video gaming is the biggest sport on earth. Around the world, millions of players duke it out in fighters, RTS, first-person shooters, and more. To the victors go the spoils, glory, clan contracts, and million-dollar endorsements. The best young gamers are recruited by elite boarding schools to sharpen their skills. The best of the best go to VGHS, Video Game High School. Object of the game: each player win. We won't go
Get
into
that
it.
perfect headshot.
But yeah, no, it's it's kind of like King of Tokyo, and like you roll the dice, but it becomes a worker placement game. If you're a gaming nerd like me, you know what that is. If not, it's not as boring as it sounds to say worker placement. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. You essentially level up your character to be sweet at video games.
And let's back up. You're underselling the most fun part of it, which is you play as the characters
Well, yeah,
from the
you choose.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
exactly.
have Freddy's a special pre-order, but you get to play as Key, Jenny Matrix, Brian D,
Calhoun,
Jimmy Calhoun, Jimmy Ted the Law, and Freddy. Which is pretty rad. And we're hoping, if the game does well enough, that we can convince Plaid Hat Games to make some expansions. One of the characters, which I said should be Jumpin Jax, because you should have like really wild abilities that seem like they wouldn't work,
I
but
feel
then
like
do.
The thing about playing this game that I thought was really cool is whoever you play as, they have their own certain advantages and like
Yeah.
strengths within the game. Like if you play as the Law, he is so and so X amount. If you roll this dice and he gets like he has that advantage. Same
And they're all
with
based on
Calhoun.
it. And they're all based on
Yeah,
this.
they're all
Yeah.
themed really well. Each character has like a passive ability that is theirs the whole game, but then every character also has 3 skill cards.
Yes.
And they do a really fun job at making them feel really good thematically. So
Yeah.
like all of Brian D's stuff is kind of like underdog stuff. Like if you have the least score, you get extra points. Like
Right.
if you have the least skill tokens, you get an extra one. Whereas like Key's is there's like classroom sections of the board that you don't need to use, but you can. And all of Key's abilities are like help you if you use the classroom. And like Law's just good at FPS
Right.
and nothing else. And all of Freddy's abilities like screw over the other players. Like no more homework and stopping people from doing stuff. They do a really
Yeah.
fun job of it's actually like my favorite part of it. It's really thematic.
I
and they
think
do a
that's
great
the
job.
draw to it because you could play as different characters characters and it's a different game each time. It's
Yeah.
not like, Monopoly where you're just like, oh, I want to be the race car because I think it's cool, and every piece.
Real
is
quick, what did you?
essentially the
What
same.
were you? What did you always
Yeah, what
play
were you
as?
in Monopoly?
Well, I lost all the pieces, so by the time I actually played Monopoly, we only had like the top hat and the little statue soldier guy, on the horse, and the thimble.
So you only had three people could play.
Yeah.
And then just like something from around the house.
Yeah, but it was just me and my sister, and if we wanted to, like a reason to argue, we'd play Monopoly. Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Well, you Des, what was your piece of choice?
Oh god, we also lost all our pieces, so
Yeah.
it was random bits from other games. I was
How
probably
did you
like
guys-
I know
a
my
Risk
pieces were like in
Warlord or something.
Ziploc bags.
Yeah, how did you
painted.
guys?
Well,
Yeah,
the Monopoly
Matt
pieces are
airbrushed his
boring,
pieces.
You go grab other rad stuff from other
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Boring.
Just like action
What's
figures.
boring
No,
about
the
what's
thimble?
boring about a 3/4
What's
size
exciting
thimble?
about a
Thimble sucks. I don't know
Come
why
on.
there's a thimble.
We all
on
agree.
this.
Thimble
I was about to
sucks.
say
Thimble is-
thimble.
Thimble
my
is your
piece.
thing?
Yeah.
Thimble is your favorite, but
Yeah.
everything else is like something that you can be, whereas the thimble is something you put on your finger.
I've only played Monopoly twice. It's boring. It's a boring game.
Well, if you play Monopoly by the real rules, like it's actually a 30-minute long game, 40-minute long game. It's not a long game.
Oh,
at
mine
all.
would go
If
way
you-
longer.
Well, that's probably because you're not playing by the actual
Yeah, you
rules
weren't playing
of
by
the
the
game.
rules, Joey.
Monopoly-
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know what Freddie says.
Monopoly has
I
a
play
lot
by
of
rules,
house
still
rules.
takes a
No,
long
no, no.
time.
Monopoly has a lot of house rules that people follow that they don't do. For example, every time a space gets landed on, if you don't buy it, everyone else has it auctions off
Yeah,
immediately.
I used to do that, but it still
Yeah.
takes a long time.
Yeah, it still takes forever because
It's
you have
forever.
to land on like the individual properties to get the monopoly on like that color.
Right, but I'm saying that
Right,
it very
that would take me
quickly,
forever.
but very quickly, the board fills up, and then everywhere you land essentially gets you.
But then
hit
everybody
up.
else also has properties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So the game goes fast. How long? Like again, like I said,
Let's do a game of Monopoly with the real rules.
Yeah,
sometime.
I'm
45
really
minutes.
anxious to
45
see how
minutes.
this
All right,
plays
let's
out.
see.
Play
It's not gonna be
Monopoly with you
45 minutes.
folks
There's no
would be.
way.
45
The
minutes.
My
last
guess
time
is
I
two-
played
my
with
guess is
3 or
2.5
4 friends,
hours.
it took a few hours.
It will.
But
It'll take us
But
two-
it doesn't
You're not
matter.
right.
Every
You're not playing
game
right.
No, we
ends.
will- I'm
It
saying
all
we will do
starts
this.
off fine. It all starts off roses until one person gets
All
the
right, so everybody
hotels.
disagrees other than Freddie.
My technique, by the way,
the comment system,
my-
how
my-
long it takes you to play correctly.
Well, my
and we will
technique-
play correctly here.
All right, my technique, by the way, to extend the game is I would always like quietly siphon off money and hide it somewhere, and then be like, "Oh, I guess I'm done," and then I'd pull out just a wad of 500s
cheating.
from underneath the couch and be like, "I guess
It's
I
cheating.
had this."
That's
Wait, what do you
cheating.
mean? What are you
But
talking
if
about?
you're not cheating,
wait,
you're not
that's not
trying hard
Money
enough.
is supposed to be open information for all players. So hiding it.
Yeah,
would be cheating.
everyone is like the IRS.
So that's why Freddy's games only last 40 minutes, because he cheats and wrecks the
No,
game.
no, no, no.
You
I'm
should
saying
go,
when
I
I
win now.
No,
After
I'm saying
45
when I
minutes.
was, no, I'm saying when I wasn't playing it properly. Yeah,
by cheating.
by cheating.
Hey, Matt, I'm curious. What was the process for developing this game with Plaid Hat? How did you guys develop the actual gameplay?
I don't know. We should ask them because they're way better at it than we are. I mean,
We should have them on,
This
actually.
process was probably one of the easiest and most fulfilling creative experiences I've had.
And that Matt did jack shit.
I didn't have to do anything. It was awesome. No, it was literally they. Like, honest to God, we're huge fans of Plaid Hat games. Me and Jimmy play Summoner Wars. Love Mice and Mystics. Play with Ashley all the time. We played it a lot here. City of Remnants we even play, and the BioShock game was beautiful.
What was that? Dead of Winter?
And then Dead of Winter was the one that they just released the game Dead of Winter.
Yeah.
If you guys are fans of Battlestar Galactica or kind of like conspiracy games, even like a little bit of it it plays like Zombicide and City of Horrors, but has elements of Battlestar Galactica and other like betrayal games. It's awesome. We had a blast when we played it. So I just emailed them and was like, hey, we have the show. I like your board games. Would you do one for us? And you could like just do
whatever
the
you
money,
want.
like do whatever you want, and it'll be yours. I just want a board game. We don't really care about it making money or anything.
They did a good job because making a game seems really hard.
It's the whole process. It's like making any
rules
other
and-
game. But they came back like, "Who are you? Do you want to
How
hire
dare
us?
you? How
Yeah.
dare you?
Like it was just like I don't know because my email was just like do what you want. I don't know how
Right.
you work. And then like a week later they came back like watch the show. Huge fans. I think we could come up with something that's really cool. And yeah, it was like we talked about it a little bit. We went on the we had a few phone calls talking about what sort of games I play, what sort of stuff they like. And then a couple of months they had 3 prototypes for me, and they brought them by. We played all 3 of them. All 3 of them were fun in different ways, but they said which one they liked the most. I agreed with them, and we kind of talked about how they could make it better. And then I didn't hear anything for like 5 months, and they're like, "Oh, here's the pretty much final version of the game."
There it is.
And we played it, and we have the prototype version.
No, I haven't played yet.
And Dez hasn't played it yet, but we were like, "This is awesome! Like, this is great. Good job, guys!" And then they're like, "Okay, it's printed. Here's your copy." And we're like, "Holy crap, that was awesome!"
Do we have a pre-order up yet? Like, just as
We'll have a pre-order up soon because we were trying to figure out, because obviously it needs to go out to Indiegogo backers first, and we were trying to figure out exactly when Season 3 is coming out, so it's all based off that. But that is the retail version, and it will be coming out soon.
And if you pre-order it, you get Freddy.
And you get Freddy if you pre-order
as a playable character.
Which is a pretty good playable character. We played it with a bunch of Jimmy's Magic friends. I was really curious to see like how hardcore gamers would take to it.
Yeah.
And within like 2 turns, once they figured out how to play, within like 2 turns, they were all min-maxing it so hard and being super competitive with it. And they all loved it. They had a blast. And the guy who won played Freddy, and he played one of Freddy's cards at the last second to screw everybody over and then won the game. It was pretty awesome. We had a good time. So... I don't know. I definitely, when it came in, was like a highlight. I nerded out pretty hard. It's pretty trippy to have a board game of.
Yeah, Matt was just aglow all day at the office that day. He was like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "Yes, Matt, we've seen this."
Hey, is anybody in the office haven't seen it yet? So I can show them it. There's dice. There's custom dice.
Matt was so excited because here's the thing that Matt does immediately.
I love custom dice.
The moment he opened the box, he saw cards. He's like, "Oh, I need to get my card sleeves." And he ran to the other room to grab his like Korean like nylon card sleeves, and he very carefully sleeved each one of his cards. And he put it down. He separated everything off in the little Ziploc bags, and he sat down, kind of just satisfied with himself, just staring at his work. He's like, "That's all it takes for Matt to be happy."
Pretty happy. Well, one of my favorite parts of how some like they show that thing on I like people who love getting their iPhones and like stripping the plastic off of it, that's satisfying. Yeah, it's satisfying, right? Well, for at least for me, I don't know if it's like all board gamers. Everybody has their own like little thing they love when they buy something new. I love punching out the cardboard pieces. Like you get a board game, you open it up, you have these big slats of cardboard, and you punch out everything, and you get all your pieces.
That's
really
why
satisfying.
you were so possessive over that.
Yeah, I was like, nobody better open this up and punch out this cardboard. Like I'm gonna punch out this cardboard, and opening up and like punching out video game high school cardboard pieces for a video game high school board game, especially that looks beautiful, like it was nuts.
It was a little glimpse into childhood Matt.
Yeah,
that has stayed the same.
Childhood,
that's still there.
Childhood Matt still is regular Matt, by the way. Matt is just basically a giant.
I'm just a big child.
Yeah, and until you get really old and gray, that someone gives you a new game, that will still be the process. Punch out the cardboard and sleeve the cards.
Yep, sleeve the card, put it all in little plastic bags.
So Joey, if we sell enough of these, we're going to get the Jumpin Jax expansion pack.
I think there needs to be Jumpin Jax, Shotbot, Games Dean. You know, there's a couple other.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I love those 3.
A few more.
If you could pick what your special ability would be.
Well, I think mine should just be all chance type of stuff. Like roll the dice. And
like, funny.
That's really good.
Yeah, you could go really far, or you could go. You could just screw yourself over.
Completely
senseless. I love that.
Actually,
chance only choices.
It's like you just play a card, and it's like roll 5 dice, and if you get 3 guns, you get 10 rank. If you get less than 3, you just like lose the game. Like it's just like you go back. I love that idea of this. It's funny. There's different cards in Netrunner. They have those cards. They're called side cards. But there are cards that literally do like percentage type stuff.
Right.
Like flip a coin. There should be flipping coins.
Flipping coins. Yeah. I feel like that would be the fairest thing.
Like grenade toss. It's like flip a coin.
Yeah.
It's like you win the match, or you blow yourself up.
Up and go back for or whatever.
It's like you flip. Yeah, it's like you either throw the pin or you throw the grenade. We've always talked about that, by the way, in the show, which is just like, how is he on the
how
JV
are you?
team?
Can you, from your character perspective, when you act and you think, what is Jumpin Jax thinking right now? How do you feel Jumpin Jax thinks he even got onto the team?
I'm absolutely just, when I'm in Field of Fire, I'm just looking at the colors. So it's like, they're wearing my jersey. Don't aim my gun at them. Like, aim my gun at that guy.
But I'm saying like,
like we're out
very
there.
machine-like and animalistic.
I'm saying like, okay, so you've seen the school. The school is clearly hundreds of kids.
It's supposed to be the best gamers.
Supposedly the best gamers in the world.
Right.
But you're on the JV team.
Yeah.
Like you made the cut.
You're probably the worst.
I think it's because you're acting on pure impulse.
Right.
There's no emotion.
I remember season 1 when I was on on a Field of Fire day, and I was like, what grade am I in? Because I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be on this team, and just like really just like trying to like break down who I am And like as a character, like, okay, if I'm on JV, then what grade am I in? Because of the first thing, I was like friends with that guy who was a freshman who got expelled. How am I not expelled? And why am I on this team? Like, and there's all these thoughts were running through my head. And then I just finally
And then you
gave
realized
up.
we had already called
Just
action.
go with it.
And I was just like, here I am.
And by that point, by that point, action had been called 4 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You just made up the dialogue.
I think the idea was that Jumpin Jax was probably like. I think the idea was like a Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights, but clearly not good. Where like you're probably a senior and you're getting on JV because you haven't been good enough.
Oh, right.
And again, it makes no sense. This is kind of our philosophy. There's no sense for you to be on the team in season 2.
No.
But
Just
why
there.
wouldn't we have it on the team? I'm not gonna let continuity keep Jumpin Jax from being on the
Well,
team
I'm
in season
always-
2
fair
because you're funny and that character is great. So it's like, you know what? You're like a senior, and also we thought if we did the animated series, you'd be like the one character that stays. It just has like the joke that you've just never left the school. Like you're like held back every year, and who knows how old you are. Yeah.
Hey, there was that character. It was like Screech in Saved by the Bell when they did the new class. Screech hung out. Still.
Yeah, Screech was still there.
Screech was still there, and Mr. Belding. They were the only 2 returning guys.
Which was a little bit weird for Screech.
But I always riffed with Benji over here because out of like everyone in the show, we never change wardrobe essentially, and we are like in our heads we are the most cartoon like glue of. When you look at the show and you see these 2 guys who are just that, it makes it for us. I mean, we're just like, we already know what we're wearing. You know, we show up and we're just like, what do we do? Where do we go?
Point
What
us
are we
where
doing
we're gonna
today?
go.
Yeah.
You guys have actually some interaction in season 3, which is fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
My
there's
running.
there's the most Jumpin Jax in season 3.
Camaraderie. Yeah, I feel like it was season 2 was much about the Fab Four.
Yeah.
You know, the Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
The Fab Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh.
All right, hang on a second. I got a question for you. Who of the Fab Four is the Fab Four? You know what I'm saying? Who is the Paul, John, Ringo, George of the 4?
Let's see.
Of
So
the Jenny.
Frey's probably the
Key's
only one.
probably
Yes.
the best one to start with because she's like kind of the analytical, thoughtful type, which means that she's definitely not Lennon, right?
Definitely not.
Because Lennon's like out in the clouds, spacey.
Would Brian D be Lennon?
It's tough because it's not quite as. So you got the main 2. So
Well,
you're Lennon
Jimmy's
McCartney.
Ringo,
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say,
Jimmy's
Jimmy's
Ringo.
Ringo.
Jimmy's
Jimmy's
Ringo.
Ryan
Ringo.
would be Paul.
Yeah.
Brian would be Paul.
yeah,
Yeah,
I like
that.
He's the most
Yep.
straight ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then Jenny would have to be Lennon, probably.
No, Jenny would have to be
Keith
George.
Then Keith
No,
Lennon.
Jenny would
Jenny,
be
no, here's what it is.
George.
Jenny would be George because she went right. She's having a career. Yeah, right. Yeah.
She had the best solo career.
Before
Well, I
India.
don't know. That's argumentative. But, I mean, Lennon had a good solo career.
Paul's doing okay.
Paul's still alive.
Paul's doing
Well,
all
no,
right.
Jenny has to be George because there's that one scene in season 3 where the guy breaks into her house and stabs. Oh wait,
Oh,
Whoa.
Jeez! Spoiler alert!
it got
That
10
scene,
degrees hotter in
may
there.
or may not get cut. That scene may or may
yeah,
not
that
get
scene's
cut.
still it's still on the chopping block.
Yeah, it was tonally might be a bit off.
Only just her getting stabbed by.
But
a
it's really
fan.
hard because if we edit it out, like the rest of the season's fucked.
Well, because she's
It doesn't really explain why
she has
is
bandages and she has bandages for that one scene, right? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I like those type of things where people just show up all covered in bandages like Darkman.
dead. Darkman, what a
Hey,
classic.
Charlie.
I can't
Charlie's
wait
here.
until like
buddy.
Freddie just reveals himself as like a shape-shifting like actually I was or like Darkman. What happens in Darkman? He's like exposed in the sunlight for too long and his
I forget
skin
how-
And then
starts
his, and then
melting
his,
off.
fake,
Hero.
his mask melts off. Yeah, it breaks down in the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now you're editing season 3.
Thank you.
You're doing a bunch of stuff. You're like editing, assistant editing, special effects, dropper, inner,
Outer.
outer,
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey Chuck.
whatever it is. What's that been like?
Start over.
Describe what.
Well, now you're
what's
in the
it been
whole
like.
process. What's
Yeah.
it been like? You've gone from like just kind of being this cool dude that we see every once in a while to like now a pal who hangs out and is involved in the post process.
It was just okay. Getting hired was just like getting hired the first time. It was like
Someone just
hey,
calls you and
You were
says,
busy.
hey,
You were
hey,
inflating.
go there.
You were inflating jump houses down in LA.
right. No, it was like, hey, we need an editor and stuff, and yeah, you know, like Dez and Ben, and they're all busy doing shows, and we have so much going on. You know, like, what are you doing?
It's like the same thing too. I think Brian and John were both like, "Hey, you should talk to Joey."
Yeah.
They've pitched me for like, they were like, when dev side was still a thing, they were like, hey, you could be a good editor on dev side. And I was like, well, whatever. You know,
Cool.
like, I'll talk to me when it happens. And then season 3 came around, and then boom, there I am. I just came in one day, and that's just, you just start showing up, and then you don't leave.
Yeah.
What's it like editing yourself? Because I'll tell you, pretty much my favorite thing for the past month has been seeing what
cuts
takes
and what
you
takes
take
you
of
pick.
yourself
Yeah.
and how you edit yourself.
Well, I edit myself the way I edit everyone else, to be honest. I mean, I just pick what's the funniest, and you guys just do so many ridiculous takes with like me that it's could be hard sometimes. I don't toot my own horn, but beep beep. Like, I love that pump was in the Goofs thing, and then now it's in the show. Like, and that's all you guys. Like, you guys are picking the stuff. I feel like I throw in some stuff like I would anything, assemble it, and then you guys go through and find the best thing that works with the whole story, and you guys pick like what stays and what goes. So there's been I don't know. You guys have locked a lot of the stuff I've done. Have you guys been happy with what I've done?
I would say that
Here's his peer work evaluation.
Evaluating your performance on the podcast.
On the
evaluation right now.
podcast. Do I still have a job? Because I'm waiting for the day that I come in and it's like, we don't need you to come in tomorrow. You know,
This is actually your exit interview.
right?
Yeah. So Joey's been good.
Yeah,
You've been very helpful.
It's the proper send off.
No, it's incredibly helpful.
I think like 3 or 4 scenes where you've created jokes from the footage that
We wouldn't have ever
neither
found.
Matt or I would have found.
Yeah.
I can tell for sure that would, like, you literally have created like additional beats that are humor beats that we never would have saw. So that's sweet.
It's the whole creative process. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, me and Freddie are picky, and we'll end up finalizing everything ourselves. But beyond just the fact that the first edit gets so much of that initial work out of the way, because
Right.
I'd say like 9% of the time you do pick the right takes. And if it's not the right take, it's usually because we just have a different idea for the scene. So that's like the vast majority of the work. And then not only that, but there have been many scenes, as you know, because you're in the edit room when we lock,
Right.
that we would have never taken the angle that you did, and that totally opened up entirely new jokes and stuff. Like, there's a scene with Calhoun that he does incredible back and forth between Brian and Calhoun with on Butt.
That was funny.
There's an entire musical choice and like huge montage
Yeah.
that completely changed because of what you did,
I
which is incredible.
would say that your secret power is
your musical choices are incredible.
Your ability to find a musical choice and have it pair to picture is bar none probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot.
Thank
of
you.
editors.
You have like 5 musical choices
I
in
stay
there.
awake at night thinking about that stuff, just so you guys know.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Musical choices or your work evaluation?
Both. No, I go home and I'm like, and I'm thinking of a scene and I have no music to it, and then I'm just laying in bed staring up at the ceiling going like, think. And that's it. And that's the secret. It's just, I just don't sleep.
I've seen a lot of editors. That's your secret skill.
Cool.
That's your
That's
super
it's also
superpower.
just helpful, and we have other people come in while we're editing and stuff too. But even when we're locking, you're still in the room, and so it's like sometimes John and stuff, and it'll just be while we're locking.
Yeah.
Even your stuff will be like, "Hey Joey, what we just changed this. What do you think of this?" And another opinion is super valuable.
Sweet.
Yeah, you still have your job for now.
All right.
Yeah, good.
So, but you were, did you do a lot of editing in high school, or what was your
Or for
sort of
5 Second
background?
Films
Or
now?
5 Second Films, yeah. What was your editing background?
Yes, a lot of editing in high school. Basically, when you're surrounding yourself with like a bunch of people with like-minded interests in making movies in high school, still some people don't have the time to edit, or they don't quite know what you were thinking when you shot it. So then you just take it amongst. God, I'm so bad at speaking. What are my thoughts and how do I communicate them? That is the hardest thing in the world. Is just
So you edit.
So that's why I edit. Is like I can like that's the best part about editing is like you could just make someone make sense. Like if it takes take after take after take and it's not working, then you just I don't know, man.
piece it together.
I've edited a lot.
That's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
That mattered a lot.
And 5SF has made me edit everything really tight.
I was going to say, what's
frame.
that like? Because Frenzy, it's nuts watching Frenzy edit because
It's
he has
amazing.
such a sense of comic timing.
Yeah.
And he's been essentially restricted. I'd say 95% of everything he's edited for the past 5 years
Yeah.
has been
Restricted.
5 seconds long.
It's amazing to edit footage that can breathe, that can like you can let like you don't in 5SF. Everyone's talking over each other just to get the words in time for a joke, haha, you know. And there's no like air in it, which is great because like a lot of the times that's the hardest thing to do as an editor is to like suck out all the air and make a scene really move.
Yeah.
So like most of the time that could be tightened up.
Yeah.
That's a note that you'd often get. And 5SF has made me just naturally tighten everything up.
Yeah.
So that way it's when you look at something you're like, this can breathe. Like this doesn't need to be so.
Yeah.
And that's something that's a luxury when you're not restricted to the format.
Hey guys, how's it going? Jimmy Wong, a.k.a. Ted from VGHS here, telling you to check out shop.rocketjump.com. We've got brand new merchandise like iPhone cases and iPad decals to shirts, Blu-rays, and posters, including brand new Season 2 designs from our friends at Danger Brain. There's also the incredibly popular VGHS hoodie, and some of our older shirts are on sale for a great price. So make sure you check it out right after this podcast at shop.rocketjump.com. Thanks so much, guys.
No, I definitely find that, again, when we talk about kind of the certain angle you take on some jokes, I feel like it definitely comes from that 5FS.
Right.
5FS.
5SF.
Training. Like there's just the quick cuts
Yeah.
and various things you've done where like I would never have thought of doing it that way.
Sweet. Yeah. I don't know. I just try and you just keep working. I speak mumble. So
That's some really inspiring words there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep working.
I'm glad
Keep
that
working.
Brian met all of you guys, and we've still worked with each other over the years. It's kind of crazy to think about, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and words. very stimulating podcast. I hope
this is how
you've
they all
learned
are.
from these words.
This is how it always is.
Yeah. No, I mean, how did you guys meet Brian? Really? I mean, just
He was on my floor freshman
on
year.
the floor, right?
Yeah, he was on my floor freshman year. And I remember one night we were going to Denny's, and he was like, Freddie, I got this idea
Yeah.
for this site, or maybe it's a phone thing, but just every movie is 5 seconds long. And then, like, the next day, you just start doing it. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, he had an idea, and he started doing it.
Yeah, you were in some of the first ones.
Some of the very, very early ones.
Yeah.
I actually helped shoot the very first one he did, which was, I think...
Was that a pool, wasn't it?
I believe, Lauren... The first 5 second films was with Max and you, right? Holding the door. Yeah. So Lauren, dean of our film school, was in the first 5 second film. She's carrying a cello case up a staircase, and Max Geiger, my also got on the floor, and I was roommates with him for a while too, and also the a producer on Unfinished Swan, the PS3 game, is. Closing the door is closing behind him, and Lauren's pulling the cello up. She's like, "Hold the door," and then Matt just goes, "Nope," and then closes the door. Real basic,
Simple,
but
so
simple,
funny.
but that was the first
Chivalry
one.
is dead, right?
Let's go.
the
That's
title?
right. Chivalry is dead. That was the first one.
That's the great title. Just, gosh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Brian's
just
back
want to
in
hear
town
real
for
I know.
a
We
week.
need to
Yeah.
do something with
Yeah,
that.
we
And
need to hang out.
I didn't meet him till writing VGHS.
Oh, that's right,
He just was
yeah.
one of the guys who showed up for like our first brainstorms, and then like nothing happened to the show for like 8 months.
Uh-huh.
And then we went back. It was just like, all right, well, we need Will since he like came up with the idea. So
Right.
that's only fair.
He should be there, I
And
guess.
then, who's the funniest guy I've met? Brian Frenzy. All right, great. Like,
Sweet.
that's literally what this guy. I didn't even really know him before then. Like,
Yeah.
even though he had been to the brainstorm sessions, like, I didn't really hang out with him. I wasn't part of like that film school group, like that floor. What was
Yeah.
the
It was
tower?
the cinema floor.
Cinema
on New
floor?
North at USC.
And then I just met him. I mean, then also, and then from not knowing him to spending every day of every week for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Playing video game high school, got to know him
pretty well.
Got to know him pretty well.
Yeah.
This industry makes you meet people and then spend an enormous amount of time with them.
Brian has and will always be one of the smartest guys I know, especially when it comes to like screenwriting. That's what he taught when we were in video productions class. Like he focused on screenwriting. That was his passion, and he had written so many things. And yeah, you guys made a good checks and balances type of thing, because I'm sure you guys all brought so many things to the table, and you had babies and swords to die on with jokes. And I remember VGHS was going to have like a Mr. Miyagi type of
The janitor.
in
Yep,
season
janitor
1,
character.
and there's all these characters and things that it could have gone so many different
We
ways.
rewrote that thing so many times.
Yeah.
I can't. And then sometimes it's fascinating, like what stuff stays in. I'm like, all the things we cut, all the smart decisions we made, and then Hoverball. Like the hoverball thing was like how did hoverball stay in?
Kick back the hoverball.
Kick back the hoverball. It makes me laugh. I can't say it would ever stayed in now, but it makes me laugh now.
Two pieces of hover technology, which is the bike and then the ball.
Yeah.
Bike and a ball.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's all the futuristic stuff in that show. Yeah, that's a dumb show. It's fascinating to think about. It was a weird checks and balances.
Past tense.
I feel like that's how we try to keep everything on VGHS. I feel like a lot of the creative elements of the show always tries to. I think it's not even an insecurity; it's just kind of a knowledge of what we don't know, and we try to set up a lot of checks and balances and not have an ego.
Yeah.
Like there's two of us directing, and like we discuss everything beforehand. And frankly, like John Salmon is like super involved in all of it too. So there's almost like a three person system there. The writing is, when Frenzy couldn't write as much on season 2, we made sure to bring in Jake,
right,
to essentially take that spot. Though Frenzy was also involved a lot, and even editing, it's like multiple people every season all the time, and why we brought you in. So
yeah,
I feel like the checks and balances and finding the right like creative partner is at least what's kept us making at least decent stuff. Yeah, kept us going. So
you guys still haven't killed each other, so that's good.
Not yet.
Pretty common there.
No,
most of the
you
time.
guys, it's amazing how well you guys all work together and everyone works together. So I guess when you come in through the door, there's like a straight up, as this is quoting, no asshole policy, and it's important. Like it's so much easier to work with people who don't are not like ego driven, but are like very down to collaborate in a way that it helps like the overall, and that's like something that you learn in high school is like, is like the ship needs a captain, but the crew needs to know like where they're going, and there's so many ways to steer the ship, but if the sail doesn't go up right,
I love this. They're still going with the
Yeah,
analogy.
and-
This is good.
Keep going, please keep going.
and then someone's like, hey, there's a motor back here. Like we could go fast.
I want somebody to animate that.
Can that all fit on a T-shirt?
Yeah, I want somebody to animate that.
It's like
Or one of those
directing.
posters
But there has
with
to be a
like kittens and
captain,
dolphins.
but all the crew members need to know where they're going.
Yeah.
And
And then you try to raise the
then
sail.
you try to raise the sail, but then one guy will tell you there's
there's
a motor back
There's a
here.
motor in the back.
It's
That
a good
quote,
lesson, man.
unquote.
I think the point being that anybody could be the one to tell you there's actually
Famous
a motor.
last words.
On the head.
I like to think of you as the captain giving that speech to your crew. Now, everybody, I know there has to be a captain,
Right.
but all you guys need to know where we're going. And when we're trying to raise that thing,
Yeah.
maybe one of you will tell me, hey, there's a motor.
I was captain
there-
once.
is there a motor?
Instant mutiny.
Who's in the back? Is there a motor?
Instant mutiny. This guy should not be captain.
This guy doesn't know what's going on.
You guys don't know. I was a cross country captain of my high
Were
school.
you?
Yeah.
No way.
And
You were cross country?
I was not the fastest runner. I was only captain because I gave the most ridiculous speeches to try and amp everyone
God.
up. There's no other way I could get a bunch of my peers to run up a hill other than going like, look, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna get exhausted.
That's true. Yeah, you.
I was going to say, we need
Oh,
a
yeah.
link. We need a link. You mean, are you talking about his...
During lunch.
Oh, yeah.
We need to link
The
this. 'cause
street, that
it's-
was like back in the day, man. I was all shaking. I was like, I haven't done this since high school. Okay.
Joey
Jean-Claude.
stands up in lunch one day.
Well, up on a staircase overlooking the entire cast and
It's
crew.
really hard to get everyone to like, quiet down.
Well, you didn't even ask to quiet down. You just started.
I just started speaking.
And by the way, when we say this speech, what speech was it?
It was the Colonel Guile speech from Street Fighter.
Do you still know it by
Yeah,
heart?
the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street
Do you still
Fighter.
know it by heart?
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
can we close out
Let's
the
close this
podcast
out
with
with
the
that.
Guile speech?
Let's do it. And we'll link to it.
Oh, boy.
This is for the whole podcast.
Take a moment to get into it.
But can we talk about some more things first? I'm having fun, dude. Like, if we want to end
this
it.
podcast?
Yeah, how are we on time?
Well, you can go as long as we
We can go
want.
as long as we want, but
It's just hot in here.
just hot.
It's
Yeah.
hot.
DC Guardians of the Galaxy, is that what you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah. How much do you want to just like reminisce on like, wow, they gave Groot to Vin Diesel because they're like, he was good in the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
Let's give him the same exact freaking
Same
thing
exact
with
thing.
less dialogue.
With less, but he's pretty good.
He was still a good Groot.
Yeah.
He did. He was a
Delivered.
good Groot.
He delivered on his line.
Did you enjoy the movie?
Yeah.
Instantly smile happy. Like, yeah.
Jeez.
I did. It was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie.
Someone said it was fun, and when I saw it, I was like, they were right. Yeah,
It was
That's a good way to describe that
It was a
movie.
really fun movie.
It was
It's
a fun
It's a
movie.
good time.
Chris Pratt was good.
yeah, he was. You know what? He was good.
He was, right?
Yeah, he was a very charismatic Star-Lord.
He was great.
Boom. What
Boom.
else do you want?
Have you read the comics before?
I mean, the comics have been around forever, right? Since like the
They're-
60s.
They're, I think,
But-
older than that even.
Yeah.
Guardians has been around for a
Really?
while.
Yeah. So I remember seeing it. I don't know if they didn't have an animated series, did they?
Not
I
to
don't-
my
they're
knowledge.
like almost completely unknown until
Right.
this came out.
Pretty
Yeah.
obscure.
So I'd just seen like whatever. Come on.
You tell us,
Oh,
Joey.
what?
You tell me.
tell us.
You tell me.
Come on,
Have
come
you
on,
s-
Matt.
How
Matt, help me out here. Come on, Matt.
You're the one who wanted to keep talking.
You're right.
So
Can we talk about something else?
bring
really
up a
quick,
topic.
just-
Let's do it. No,
Yeah, okay,
Joey,
all right,
topic.
go. Lightning round.
Topic, lightning round.
We'll talk about
Pressure,
it.
pressure,
Anything
pressure.
You want.
Why is that monkey like on a telephone pole with a machine gun?
Carmen. We caught Carmen taking down somebody else's
Carmen
artwork.
was taking someone else's artwork to put
Really?
it up.
Wait,
Yeah.
I thought he just first decided to put it up there.
That
No,
replaced
we caught
something.
Carmen taking that artwork down the other day, and like while no one was around.
Look, we love John Carmen. all
I
right?
love John Carmen.
We
Let's
love
talk
John
about
Carmen. Right,
John.
We all love John Carmen, right? Let's talk about John. Is John
Yeah.
here?
John, cut it.
We all love John Carmen. But
John's
just a
cutting
moment
in.
ago,
John
we
can't
found
wait to cut in.
Just,
He's like, it's about damn
I'm
time.
waiting. Like, are they gonna let me cut it the whole time?
just a moment ago, we caught him just leaving the red camera out after using it.
The,
And now I'm finding out that you were just
bazillion-dollar red camera.
removing
brand
artwork
new.
without telling anybody.
Just checking it out, you know.
No, what
Get
you
to the
guys
mic,
what
John.
you guys missed is
Get to
I
the mic.
watched
Here, go into it.
Benji and I watched John Carmen frame his poster, then carry it around and hold it up to every empty space on the wall for about 45 minutes until he landed on this wall right behind us here. He then took that poster down. He
Benji,
hung
could you
his
zoom in
up,
on that wall?
stood back and stared at it with his
Which
hands
wall?
on his hips in triumph, and then he turned back, looked over at his shoulder to Benji and I, and he said, I think this one looks a lot better.
This wall over there?
Yeah.
This wall?
Which, to be fair, I think that's a terrible idea. That's a small poster, and that
It was a
wall-
terrible idea.
That wall is
That's what they
that
said.
poster is the perfect size for that wall.
Get on the
That's what
mic.
they
Get
said.
on the mic. Get on the mic.
That's what they said.
Yes.
Then I argued for, like, oh, it's like minimalist. It's like you're in a gallery. You're like, oh, there's nothing. Oh, there's just this little thing, you know. And you're just like, makes you more want. That's
John
just
was
like-
having that
looks like
legitimate
wallpaper, you know?
minimalist
It doesn't look
argument.
like a picture.
He was literally arguing that, like in
Yeah.
the middle of this busy office with tons of stuff. He was
Yes.
like, "It's like a minimalistic art gallery."
Yeah.
In fact, we should. You know what? We should probably clear out all the desks behind it as well, so he can stand here and admire the minimalistic artwork.
No, he did the. Oh, okay, all right. And then
got me,
you got me, you got me being John.
Anything else you want to talk about with John Carmen?
John's
Where
here.
do I start? The first time John and I saw each other was we were in season 2 in the lines of like I think you were like the seniors who was just about to get expelled or kicked off like senior
Yeah.
varsity
It was a
team.
lineup,
and
and-
we
yeah.
were face to face and we were like we were standing at attention or whatever and then what at some point we were like hey I'm John, hey I'm Joey, and then there we go. Off to the races.
Such a good origin
What a moment.
story.
What a moment.
Because we had stared at each other like eye to eye for like 5
So
minutes
epic.
before we had introduced. So it was like it felt like a really long time coming
Such an
before
epic
we even
friendship here,
said
guys.
hello.
So intense.
Yeah.
Such a friendship.
Did you give him the boat, the captain, and the sales speech?
No, I wasn't doing the
John,
speech.
you haven't heard this? You just missed it. You'll
well,
have to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, you just have to listen
Yeah.
to it.
We were
It's
trying
on
to get him
tape.
to do he did the Guile speech from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
One day.
Colonel
Were you
Guile
there
speech.
that day on set? In the middle of lunch, he just got up onto the staircase.
I think I want you to do it.
All right.
Joe, I want
Let's
you
do
to
it.
do it.
we're
Let's
all
go
ready.
like this.
Enough
Let's
of
do
you,
it.
John.
Enough of you. Thank you, John. Thank you for coming, John.
I love you.
Put the-
John
put-
Carmen,
put the
ladies
red
and
camera
gentlemen.
Back to
away.
work, Kevin.
High five.
Please
High
put
five.
away the
Don't
equipment
count.
when you're done.
John's brilliant.
Put
Goodbye,
away
John.
equipment when you're done.
When I think of John, I just think of that voice in my head, in his voice, going hilarious. Like that, because he says that all the time, or at least in my head he says it to anything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
All right, close this out. Get these
All right,
people
all right.
inspired. Imagine an audience, a cast of thousands out there waiting for your words coming through their speakers at home, their speakers in their car,
He's ready to
their
go.
headphones. Here
This
we
is
go.
your Spartacus moment.
This is it.
Or your Street Fighter moment.
This is it. Okay. to all of you out there. This isn't it yet.
Okay.
But I just want to give you a little. Can I just get a little? What do you call it when you do the thing before the thing?
Preamble.
Like the preamble.
Sure.
Okay. Or is it prologue or is that written?
Preamble.
Is a prologue written?
Right.
So it could be written.
Preamble.
Okay.
Preamble.
Okay.
I just want to know the difference.
I think a preamble is before speech.
Yes.
Then that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
That's what you want.
Okay.
Okay.
So before we get into
Yeah.
it, I just want you to know that I love you, and if you ever need anything in your life, if you ever need to know, like if you're ever in a down moment, just think about like this, think about my voice, and like let the radio waves transcend, and I want you to be inspired, okay?
Okay.
With whatever it is
Okay.
that you choose to do in life. Okay. The end of the preamble. Okay, here we go. I'm slouched down. Okay, everything about how I'm sitting is wrong. Can I adjust?
You
This
can
thing is
stand
like
up. Stand up.
This thing, the mic right now. I don't know if you're watching, but if you can see this, it's like a roller coaster, like where you pull the shoulder.
Do you want
the
to
harness
stand up
down
and go behind
over.
the couch?
Like that is what the microphone
Here,
is
stand up.
doing.
Stand up,
I'm
go
sitting on
behind
the
the
couch. And, okay, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm locked in like a roller coaster ride.
Here, we'll give it what you need.
You have your
Darnell!
now you have your pulpit.
Darnell's here.
Darnell.
Darnell is
That's
in the
good.
building. How's that?
All right.
What's up, Darnell?
There we go.
All right. Reframe for me.
Piston.
All right.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
So I'm doing this speech again.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
This is crazy. All right. I'm shaking again. It's all coming
You know
back
what?
to me.
I would
The
love
nerves.
for you to, after you deliver the speech, you close out the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this
You
is,
do,
right?
You do
Yeah.
the outro. No, but do the outro
Just
and
say
everything.
thanks for Facerocker Podcast and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, okay. I just want to like do something different and do like the Independence Day speech, but it's all about John Claude.
Just do it.
Wait, do you know the
Whatever you
Independence Day
want.
speech?
Yeah.
Do whatever speech
do
you
whatever
want.
speech you- that
See, I
strikes you
usually
right now.
okay. Here's a little secret. All right.
Just give us a speech. Give us a speech.
Whatever
man.
speech you're comfortable with.
Benji's losing his mind. He's like, when is this gonna happen? I'm framed up. Oh, all right. This is dead air. Okay. The words. Okay. Okay. I got it. Okay. Think about it. Troopers, I've just received new orders. Our superiors say the war is canceled. We can all go home. Bison is getting paid up for his crimes, and our friends will have died here. Will have died for nothing. But we can all go home. Meanwhile, ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up. But we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm going to get on my boat, I'm going to sail upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is gonna feel it. So who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me? And everyone, cheers. And it's a big thing. And Van Damme just does a smirk and he goes, that's right. But he says that's right with the smirk. And then he gets on his boat and he sails off with his crew. And they have a motor on the back.
Perfect.
But what happens is their stealth mode isn't that good. So they end up getting bombed by that arcade style Bison control game with those sea mines. And they have to abandon ship. But they end up swimming to shore and going on foot.
And then
saving the hostages and defeating Colonel Bison. Or so they thought. Because at the end, Bison's hand emerges from the rubble. But Raw's gone. And then they all went home.
That was incredible. Joey.
I want to thank you all for tuning in to Facerocker Podcast.
It's the hardest I think I've
I'm
ever
getting
laughed
the
on
thumbs
the
up
podcast.
from Benji. We did it, Benji. We did it, Benji.
You did it, Joey.
We did it, Benji.
Thank you, Joey Scoma,
It was
producer.
great having you on.
I'm so
Benji
sweaty.
Dolly.
That was a terrific speech.
Recorded, mixed over by Alex Reeves at Point Blue Studios.
your
I'm sorry, this is the hardest I've ever laughed at this podcast. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, Joey.